Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Aleeza Ben Shalom with Marriage Minded Mentor, and I am really excited to be with you here tonight or today or whenever you're watching this webinar. We don't care. We're so happy that you're here. This is Sarah Zoldan, the amazing Sarah. She always comes on to just needle me in a good way and ask good questions. Kind of a funny thing for our topic tonight, but we really get into the topics and we really enjoy talking about things. And we've talked about so many things dating related. It started out with COVID dating. We've gone through attraction and manifesting your soulmate, and we've dug in so many different areas. And tonight, we came up with this clever webinar title, or we think it's Sarah and I, whenever we come up with things, we're like, oh, that's so clever. Oh, that was a good one, which is called Vaccinating, right? Why your vaccination status matters and how to navigate dating. So first thing I'm going to address, I don't care which side of the spectrum that you're on. It makes no difference. We're not talking about what you should do or what you shouldn't do. What we're talking about when we say why your status matters, because it has an impact on your dating, okay? So if you are somebody who received the COVID shot, okay, or if you are somebody who did not or does not or will not receive the COVID shot, it has an impact on your dating. And the question is, okay, yeah, why, what, how do I deal with this? So I'm going to give you kind of the short summary of what it means, and then we're going to flesh it out, and then we're going to go into the whole Q&A. So it goes like this. If you are on either extreme, okay, if you're on the extreme that everybody needs to get this, duh, it's so obvious. It's like murder if you don't get it, right? That's one extreme. There's the other extreme, which is, I'm not getting this. This isn't tested. This is crazy. What are you talking about? You can't force people to do this. No way, right? People like this can't date. They can't. It's not possible. It's not possible. Why? Because it's not just about a vaccination, a shot. It's not about that. It's about we have a different value system. We have different beliefs. We are not on the same page. And it's not only going to be about this. It'll probably likely be about other health-related issues and a number of other issues. And we're probably not going to be in sync. Okay? Now, a majority of the world doesn't live over here and doesn't live over here. A majority of the world lives right about there. A majority of the world lives in the middle. Maybe they're a little more pro, or maybe they're a little more against, but they're somewhere in the middle. They're kind of like dancing. Maybe they're not super committal, or maybe they're not like the rah, rah, I'm going to change the world, I have a belief, I'm going to follow it kind of person. But they're just somebody who says, well, I'm either going to do this or I'm going to do that. But like, live and let live. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. Okay. If you're somebody who's in the middle category, where you're not super attached to your beliefs in a way where it drives every fiber of your being, then you could date somebody who perhaps has different beliefs than you. Okay. Now that lumps a whole middle category where they could kind of intermingle, right? We could co-mix and match, because you might not be married to your idea. What happens when somebody in the middle wants to date somebody from one side or the other, right? So the person in the middle here needs to be flexible to lean into the value that the other person has, because the person that has the stronger belief, that's really into it, it's very deeply important to them, and it's a driving force in their life, is not going to let go of that. This is a value. When you're talking about a core value, like we're simply talking about a shot right now, right? This is a shot, right? We have other core values. I believe in God. I believe in commitment and loyalty. I believe in trust and healthy relationships, right? There's a lot of different things that we have core beliefs about. When I'm attached to a core belief and a value, we have to be somewhere in sync with each other. So I like to do things on a scale. Sarah knows this. Like if we have a scale from 1 to 10, how attached to your belief are you? Okay. So if you're a 10 or like a 27, right? Because you're just totally off the charts. But if you're at least a 10 on the chart, you're really attached to your value. If you're a 7, even if you're an 8, you're attached, but you're not a 10. You might be able to be a little bit flexible. It might mean that you can't date somebody who's totally the opposite perspective as you, but you could date somebody who's in a mid-range. So basically, anybody who is on the outskirts and very strongly has a belief and is uncompromising and unwavering in their way, and I don't care which way it is, it's your way. You need to date somebody that's either in that realm or like the little circle over here that goes just a little bit outside of it. You really can't creep to the middle too much, because then you're going to find somebody that might start to have some opposite beliefs as you, and it's going to start to cause a rub and a conflict in your relationship. So how does this practically play out? Because this is like all mumbo jumbo. Thanks, Aleeza, for all the words and all the talking, but like, really, what does this mean? How this practically plays out is somebody is very pro getting the shot. So they get the shot. They're dating somebody who's not so pro. They didn't get it that yet. They're not in line. They didn't rush to be the first. They don't care. This person wants to introduce them to their family, but I'm not bringing you to my family until you have this. I don't even want to meet outside. I don't even want to meet you with a mask on, 6 feet apart, right? It starts to keep us physically and emotionally apart because we're not on the same page about a core issue and value, right? And again, I want to take this away, like we called this vaccinating, and we made like a big, like people were like, wow, that was a really strong flyer, right? But that was on purpose because we wanted to grab people's attention. But I really want to draw it away from this being such an issue and just say, but this is a value. This became a value that people either strongly attach themselves to, or they don't, or they live somewhere in the in-between land, right? So in-between land can mix and mingle, and everybody else has to really work hard to find partners that are like-minded. So I have heard things such as clients or former clients dating, and on their dating resume, they now put their status. And it says, if you're vaccinated, I'm interested in dating you. And if you're not, no, thank you. Or the reverse. If you're vaccinated, I'm not interested. You're not for me. And if you're open to doing it without it, then okay, then I will consider dating you. That's how strong of a belief this is. It went on your dating profile as a part of your status. So here's my question to you. What happens if you don't know where somebody's holding? What happens if you see them? Maybe they didn't publish it on social media. Maybe, one way or another, they're not saying something. So if somebody feels strongly and they don't mind to be public, you're going to see it on their page. But you might have some people that feel strongly that don't want to be public. So it's going to be a little bit hidden. You're not going to know. So how do you approach it? It's a good question. It's not so easy. It's really not so easy to figure out. So think about somebody who's going to be pro vaccine is going to be somebody who is probably attached to medicine and science, right? And people who are driven by data and information, things that resonate with them. Maybe they have a lot of doctors in their family and that's something that's important to them, or maybe whatever it is, right? Think about the way that somebody would think who would be attached to getting that. That's going to be that type of person, right? And the opposite is also true for somebody who's not interested to get it. You might find that they look for alternative or non-traditional medical options, right? Or they do other things before they would rush to do traditional medicine or things of that nature, right? So if you don't know if somebody's pro or against, or you're trying to kind of like do a little bit of Google searching and sleuthing online and figure it out, then try to read and look and find out what their other interests are so that you can get a hint about who somebody is. So this is the overall arching picture, which is basically if I'm here and you're here, never the two shall meet. Introduce them to your friend who's just like them and not like you. And if you're somewhere in the middle and you meet somebody a little more extreme on either end, make sure you lean into the more extreme side, because that's the person that cares about it more than you do. And you need to be a little bit more open to things going their way with this topic. Maybe other topics that'll go your way, but for this specific topic, it's going to go their way. Ta-da! That's the topic. So Sarah is going to open. Do we do it?
Yeah, I was actually wondering where you were going to take this, and it just makes so much sense. It's just another value. And what? Oh my God, Aleeza. Holy schnitzel. How big is that? You're on mute, so when you're done muting.
Yeah, I didn't want you to hear me slurping. It is 116 ounces or 3,400 milliliters, depending on which country you're in and what you like to go by.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, no,
Anyway,
I
go ahead.
say that it's just the value, and how far apart you are will dictate whether this is a viable option or not. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to jump right into the questions.
Great.
If you addressed it super clearly, obviously I won't need to bring up the question, but I'm going to ask the ones that might be a little bit more nuanced. So, give me 1 second. So how can I express to a shadchan how can I express to shadchanim who are pro-vaccination that I prefer to date men who do not wish to take this current new injection?
Yes, so this is another trouble, and I'm glad that you brought this up. So when you're dealing with other people setting you up, it becomes a little bit complicated because people are very attached to their beliefs. So in the same way the person that you're dating is going to be attached to their belief and their values, the matchmaker or anybody in this case is going to be attached to their beliefs. And if they're not in line with yours, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So number one, I would say, maybe start by looking for matchmakers that have your point of view. And the way you find that out is by kind of sniffing around and asking questions. If you are the opposite, I would take the approach of saying to the matchmaker, I'm looking for somebody who's not interested to take this new injection. And because there's so many people that maybe are, right? We look at the statistics and the numbers in the world, maybe you know of somebody who isn't, or if you happen to hear of them, just pass it along to me, right? Because I maybe they won't be in the majority, maybe they'll be in the minority, and therefore maybe you'll have a match for me. That might be one way of doing it. Although I know that people who are not taking it are not necessarily open about that because it's controversial and it causes a lot of conflict. So if you're not able or uncomfortable to take that direct approach, then you really should start to look for, there's different matchmaking. I'm a part of tons of matchmaking groups, and there's all different kinds on WhatsApp and all over. So you can find different groups with like-minded people.
Awesome. So what if you, I know a lot of people who are not typically anti-vaxxers, but just don't want to take this one because it's so new and we don't know long-term effects and all of that. Right. How would that fall into place in terms of if someone is fully vaccinated, can they date someone who just doesn't want to take this vaccine, but is not typically against vaccines in general, or does it fall into the same category?
It depends on the person who took the vaccine. So if they say, I have to be with a partner who has already taken the vaccine, because I've heard a lot of people say that's like not interested. Like in Israel, if you have the vaccine and you have your green passport, you can go into hotels. If you don't, you can't. You can eat in restaurants if you have your green passport. If you don't, you can't, right? So if the person is green passport, I'm going to use green passports because that's Israel's method. If the person is mandatory with their green passports and they're saying you have to have that in order to date me, then obviously it's not going to be a good match. But if there's somebody who's like, no, I took it and I'm okay that you didn't, as long as you're being careful and as long as you're not closed to vaccines in general, then it's a match that could potentially work.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I know you touched on this, but should we write on our profiles if we're vaccinated or not?
It depends how important to it is, and it depends on how comfortable you are. So if you're comfortable to write it and it's really important to you, then I'd say, yes, you should write it on there. But if it's not, if you could go either way and you're totally flexible, or if you're very uncomfortable, then you don't necessarily need to put it there. If it's a deal breaker for you, you may as well just tell people.
Right. Okay, awesome. Is it appropriate to ask your date to be COVID sensitive, means social distancing and wearing a mask, if you aren't vaccinated?
So right now, if we're following along with whatever the guidelines are, right, 6 feet apart, outdoors. So Israel is actually very different from the States, although our rules just changed. But in the States, it was that you could be 6 feet apart, you could be outdoors, and you didn't need masks, that the rate of transmission was so low that that wasn't something that they needed. But I'll tell you from my clients, I know if there's a sensitivity, or if they have older parents or grandparents or people that they visit or see on a regular basis, then the person who had the shot is not going to want to be around the person who did not have it without some sort of protection. So it's going to make things complicated, but I have to tell you, if you're going out with somebody like this and this is your dating experience the entire time, we're going to have a problem. So I think you should just find somebody who's on the same page as you, because it's going to be very, very hard to get to know somebody. I mean, it's great in terms of shomer negia, in terms of not touching, of advancing the emotional relationship before the physical relationship, and for that whole category, but it's not great in terms of not being able to see people and really connect with them.
Awesome. Again, just a reminder to everyone, let's keep the comments respectful, non-political. This is.
Oh, yes. I did not make that announcement at the beginning. This is a no judgment zone. We have everybody from every different spectrum, from the absolutely you must do this to absolutely that's crazy, you can't do this, in the webinar and watching the replay. We have everybody from all over the spectrum. We are not here to make a judgment. We are here to have an open, safe discussion. Period. That's it. End of it. Okay. So keep it kosher, keep it clean, or you can't stay. That's the rules. That's for anybody who's live. If you're watching the replay, you're just getting the fun entertainment. Also, I just want to interrupt, a little sponsor note. Thank you so much to our sponsors this week. JIC is sponsoring this event along with Fast Pass to Love and, of course, Marriage Minded Mentor. And these are some of the top Jewish organizations, for-profit and non-for-profit, who are here to help singles over the hurdles and under the chuppah. JIC has transitioned to doing tons of events and things online. They're coming back to doing things in person now, which is incredible. Fast Pass to Love has been taking on private clients and helping people to find each other. And Marriage Minded Mentor, as always, has brought you coaching and support and programs and lots of wisdom. So I just want to say a special shout out and a thank you to our sponsors for helping to make this happen.
Awesome. Just again, a quick reminder, please, please, please put your questions in the Q&A box. I don't want them to get lost. So if it's in the chat, copy and paste it to the Q&A box. Aleeza, I personally don't feel comfortable taking the vaccine at this time, but I am okay if the guy did or does, but because I'm not vaccinated, I'm still being careful. How do I express that to a date or a shadchan without being seen as weird?
So I think that you could tell somebody that you're not extreme in your beliefs, whether you are or you aren't. It's nice to say that, like, I'm just not taking it at this time. I'm comfortable with with dating somebody who has taken it, but I want to make sure that they know, and I'm telling you out of respect, because I know some people are very uncomfortable with it or might have different preferences. So I just want to have a level of openness and awareness about that. You're risking somebody being judgmental or saying something or not treating you very kindly if they have very opposite views. But if you come from a very open-minded perspective, even if they say something that rubs you the wrong way, I would just repeat, I'm not married to the ideas. I just wanted to make you aware I haven't taken it yet, or I haven't. The language, you could play with the language. I haven't had the opportunity to take it yet, or I, don't have plans to get it right now. You can see what works for you, but you could just make it known that this is not something that you did, or it might not be something that you're pursuing, but it's okay. You're not so polar opposite that you don't mind if somebody did.
Right. Okay.
It's another, again, just say it's another criteria that we're looking for. They have to look a certain way, and they have to have a certain value system. They have to come from a certain type of family and live a certain place. And we have to include their status now. Like, you're green passport eligible or you're not,
All right. If someone is against the vaccine, does it mean that they are probably also against MMR vaccine, for example, for their future kids?
Not
I think
necessarily.
that's a hard no.
No. So there are people who that statement would be true for them, but that's not true for everybody. This vaccine came about very quickly. It was thrust onto the world extremely urgently. And there's people that are questioning it or saying, I'm not ready today. I don't know about tomorrow, or tomorrow's tomorrow, but I'm not ready today to take this on. There's not enough data for me to feel comfortable and to feel safe. So I do not think those, they could be correlated, but it's not a guarantee, no.
All right. So I had a date. He doesn't believe in masks. He had COVID already. I was going to take my last Pfizer shot. We put it off as I wasn't comfortable. Should I call him to reschedule? Should I be open to this? What do I do?
Okay, so when we get down to like a medical question, if there's any medical, I'm not going to answer it. I'm not your doctor. I'm Aleeza. I'm your dating coach. Dr. Aleeza for dating and not for doctorly advice. But if we're talking about, can you go outside and have a date that's distanced at 6 feet apart? All of the research is showing that the rate of transmission when you stand 6 feet apart, even without masks, it just doesn't happen. So that you could feel comfortable doing that outside with an outside dating if you trust all of the data and the research that's out there. If you would like to wait till your second shot, so it'll be usually what, a month or so.
I think it sounds like they waited till she had her second shot and now she has her second shot. So
I thought you said they had the first. Why after the second shot? So what's her worry? No, it's the first shot, you said.
I was going to take my last Pfizer shot, so we put it off as I wasn't comfortable. I understand it to mean that she took her second shot now. Now should I reschedule and be open to this?
Yeah, go out. Meet somebody. Am I missing something? Yeah, go out. Absolutely. You don't have to eat in a restaurant if you're uncomfortable being in an enclosed space. So be outside. The weather's picking up in most places, unless you're in the opposite, like Australia, and then maybe you have rainy weather.
All right. Aleeza, how do I manage slash what do I do when someone would have been a great fit pre-pandemic, but their lax approaches to COVID safety are a real turnoff for me?
It's rough, isn't it? This is like a whole new world. Like I totally would have dated you a year ago, but now you're not super appealing to me. I can't believe it. Like, why don't you take this a little more seriously? And why aren't you doing things in a way that's safety conscious for everyone? So it's this whole pandemic. Welcome to the new world. This is the pandemic world. We are going to be in the pandemic world for a while longer. It's not ending so fast. So if you are not comfortable with them, you're not going to be comfortable with them in 6 months from now either. And things aren't going to shift so dramatically. So either you've got to come to some sort of a middle ground and be okay with it, or it's not going to be a relationship that you're ever going to be comfortable around. You're also going to look at them as somebody who's irresponsible. So now it's not about a shot. Now it's about you don't have a consciousness about other people because the way that you handle it is different from the way that I handle it. And I view your choices as irresponsible. So I associate the value of being irresponsible with you. And now I'm not interested in you. So we took it totally out of a shot perspective into a value, which then makes it totally a deal breaker for me. So I would say we need to find somebody that you're more in line with, that you can respect.
And one thing that I just want to throw out and add is, I think obviously we get so much of our information from the media, we get so much of our information from our close friends and family and our inner circle. When it comes to dating, because this is such a big deal, and because this, like, it's such a big deal, like, really take the time to do your own research, really take the time to find the answers that you need to really be comfortable and secure in wherever this value falls on your spectrum. Because with other things in life, or at different times in our life, some things don't really matter that much in terms of am I a 4 or am I an 8 out of 10, right? But when it comes to dating, and because this is a heated topic and it's something that, you know, is a big deal in life, it's
a life or death deal. It's big. It's life or death. So wherever your values are, you associate and attribute a tremendous amount to your values. So we need to find people that are more closely aligned. And maybe that means some other things take a back seat, some things that you might have made a priority before. This maybe becomes number one. Like, do we have the same status? Are we both interested in the same things? Can we tolerate where we're holding? Yeah. Okay, wait, now let me see your photo. Like, I don't even care what you look like if we don't even have the same status. I didn't, you know, what's so interesting now that I'm saying that? I didn't think there would be anything that could trump a photo. Sorry to throw that word in there, but man, all kinds of political stuff tonight. But anyway, I didn't think there was going to be anything that could beat a photo. Like, a photo is always number one. But this beats a photo, because I don't care what you look like. You could be amazing. That's your value. I'm not interested. You hold over there, forget about. Like, it just totally makes you repulsive to me, because your decision is just so not in line with my value system.
Yeah. When we were talking about doing this webinar, this topic, it reminded me so much, and everything you're saying now just continues to remind me of the webinar we did on on politics, because it's very much the same thing, where some people in politics are just kind of like in the middle, whatever, we can work it out. And some people are like, no, their side, whether it's right or left, is their value. And it's about, what do I stand for? And what does this political party stand for? Anyway, okay. Even with being vaccinated, how can I convey that I still want to wear a mask and ask my date to wear a mask?
I think you just say it. You could just say, here's my comfort level. Here's what I would like to do. Again, if you're holding at that level, it's just going to be so hard to get to know somebody. Again, if you're outdoors, if I can't see your face, it's going to be so much easier to get to know you if we do Zoom. I could see you talk. I could see your expressions. I found it incredibly difficult to walk into a store and I say something and it's over my face and I'm yelling at it. Like my eyes are popping out of my head because I'm trying to say something and you can't hear me. And I'm like, like, you can't throw the words through the cloth. It just mumbles everything, and it mumbles not just the word, but it jumbles it just takes away the essence of a person. It's very difficult, very, very difficult. So if there's no time that somebody could see you face to face, now might not be a great time for you to be dating. Again, if we're outdoors, I've seen people, they're like, Aleeza, I'm not comfortable with 6 feet. We're sitting 10 feet apart. You could still sit 10 feet apart and have a connection if there was no mask. If you're 10 feet apart and there's a mask, now I can't see you. Now I can't hear you. Now like, it just put too many barriers up between us, and it makes it really difficult for us to vibe and connect. And when we're talking about connecting, like, I'm going to choose you as a life partner, but I can't see your face. It's going to be very, very difficult. So it might be a time to consider not dating for the next 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is. If you're not going to be able to come up with any solution where you could physically see each other in a way that made you feel safe and comfortable.
Aleeza, would you say it makes sense to have the first 2-3 dates masked? And then if we both feel that there's something worth exploring here, then I can, like, meaning I don't necessarily want to be out with 10 different people in a month, let's say 10 different people in a month unmasked. But if I meet someone and we go on 3 dates and I think there's something here, I'm comfortable, taking off my mask for one person.
In theory, I like it. In reality, I might not like you after 10 dates with a mask on. I can't. Sarah, can tell me a little bit about yourself. What's going on? How are you? Do you see what you're missing here?
Right.
What are you missing? Like, you're just missing it. You're missing, like, you're really, really missing. It's so difficult. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
So I agree with you in theory. I think it's a great solution. And to say, great, well, if we vibe, then after 3 dates, but how many people are going to get to a third or a fourth date? Right. I think the statistics are going to be extremely low, at least from my experience with my clients. It's very low.
Right. That makes sense. All right. So I'm concerned about the new virus strains / mutations, even if vaccinated. How do I get my date to understand that without scaring them off? Or
Right.
how
So
do
it probably, yeah, I mean, it probably means I still don't like, I want to wear a mask indoors and outdoors, and I won't be able to see you as much because there's a lot going on. So if there's somebody that's on your same page, then they're going to totally get it. If they're not on your same page, they might be a difficult person to date anyway, because this is an evolution, and according to science, like, this happens, this evolution of viruses and germs and like things naturally mutate and change, and like, this is everything that's happening. This isn't like crazy. This is what the flu also, why do we have a different flu every year? Like, there's a new strain, there's new things that are happening. So this is going to keep happening, and if you don't have somebody that's on your page, I just think it's going to be difficult for you to continually connect. But again, are you getting to the chuppah masked? Are you going to be to the chuppah masked? Right. How far into dating can we go masked? Ask yourself that question. I don't need to give you an answer. You're
Right.
going to have your own answer, but how far can you get and really know and connect with somebody while having something over your face? It's difficult. It's really difficult.
Okay. I met a man on Shidduch View app. He lives in London, England, and I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. How do I overcome the US and UK travel restrictions and time difference between here and there? So not exactly vaccine related, but kind of vaccine related.
No, it is. It is. I have had clients that are cross-continent dating, and between Israel and the US, we had somebody, they weren't able to meet for a year. Like, they literally had just started right as COVID hit, and then they broke up, and then they got back together, and then they were trying to see each other. It took a full year to get one of them out of the country, to get it into the other country, to make everything work for them to actually date in person. So, and that, yeah, I mean, it's been a year, so we're like still pending with like how it's going to work and how it's going to go, and it's complicated, and who's moving and what's happening, and it's a little complicated. It's a little complicated. It's not such a simple answer. So with UK and US, I think we're still not at a great position for traveling and dating. UK has had maybe some pretty heavy restrictions recently.
Yeah.
It's like once a country goes into lockdown, that's Hashem saying, date within your own country, date within your own circle, date within your own network. Don't try to fly anywhere. Not for you, not now, because I'm not going to let you. So it's not like, do they have the desire, or do they want to meet you? They might want to meet you. They might be restricted from traveling for the next 6 months to a year, depending on what happens. So you might want to consider.
They're already chatting. They'd already had video dates.
If you can't get in person, if you can't get in person within 3 months, put it on pause. And just wait until somebody can travel. Wow. And then date other people if you wish or don't wish. But things you can get overly attached, you can get dried up. Like, hey, we vibe on video and I meet you in person, and I'm like, oh, not super excited. I just wasted 3 to 6 months of my life. And this just, I mean, in 1 second, it crashed. Yeah. You need to be able to meet. If you can't meet within 3 months because of whatever restrictions, pause.
And I would also just add, like, before just assuming that restrictions that you see online or whatever are factual, reach out to someone who could help you see if there is a way that you could travel, because there are always legal loopholes. Sometimes there aren't, but sometimes there are that the lay person doesn't know about, and it doesn't necessarily have to hold you back.
And it changes overnight. Yes. You could go from complete lockdown to open, and as soon as that opens, you got to get out of the country and go to where you want to go. You might not be able to get back in, but go to where you want to go, meet your person. And then I'll give you a client story, and this wasn't cross-continent, but from East Coast to West Coast, she traveled to go see him, and then COVID hit. Yeah, somebody else closed up her apartment and she moved out to the West Coast, and they've
Oh
been
my.
seriously dating for the last year, and that was not on the agenda or the plan.
Wow. Aleeza, can we
Yeah.
just pause for a second and consider how bizarre this entire conversation is?
Would we have had this like 5 years ago? It's like not even like,
What?
oh, you're not going to be able to travel to London or Canada, and if you do, when you come back, you'll have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Are they worth it?
This is insane.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? It's like it's bizarre. And wait, do you remember a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I was wanting very much to get out there this virtual dating book, and we were like, but maybe the pandemic's going to end in like 3 months, and it'll come out, and like it'll be lost. It'll be like such a waste of effort and time. Let's rush. We'll get it out there really fast, and maybe the pandemic will still be going.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Remember,
we could have published in February, Valentine's Day, we could have waited.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, next question. How do you address the fact that hearing loss makes communication with masks impossible? Can I just chip in and share that there are masks that have clear
yeah,
masks?
but they fog up. I know they say they don't,
fog
but they
up,
do.
But my parents are both hearing impaired. And when my mom came for my wedding, we asked everyone to wear masks. And my mom brought like 10. She tried out a few different ones to see which one fogs up the least. And there are all these tips for putting dish soap on. And yeah, nothing's perfect for sure. But she brought 10 masks, for like one for herself and her good friends and family members.
The people that she actually wanted to hear from.
Yes, exactly. And they were, and she was able to lip read. Right. Another really good option is the shield. Like if that's something that your date is comfortable with, instead of wearing a mask, to wear, those plastic shield thingies, because those are totally see-through. But it's hard for sure. Aleeza?
Right. So the answer, I think, would be to date somebody who's comfortable without a mask, because you're not going to be able to lip read. I actually count on lip reading a lot. And I just Same. As a child, I had a lot of ear infections, and it just was hard to hear what was going on. And then I did get my hearing, which now I have exceptionally good hearing, which is sometimes exceptionally annoying. And it still makes it so difficult with the masks on, because I really didn't realize how much I counted on seeing somebody's lips, and I was watching and waiting to know what they would say until it came out of their mouth. And I have to tell you, in Israel, insanely hard with a whole nother language. It's like I have no shot. If they're like a mumbler, forget about it. Like normally I could like try to pick it up. No way, not with another language.
Yeah.
So try to date somebody who's open to not wearing a mask. I think that's the best advice. I think if you tell somebody I have hearing loss and this is hard for me, do you not mind not wearing a mask? If they feel they need to wear a mask and they're only comfortable in a mask, it's not insensitive to hearing loss. It's overly sensitive, not overly, it's sensitive to a need for protection. So they're not being insensitive towards you. They're just doing what they believe to be safe for themselves and others.
I think the struggle is more / also when you, as a person with hearing loss, wants to wear a mask, whether that's because that's your value or because there are other issues that put you at higher risk or something like that.
Okay, so wait, why? Explain your side.
No, I'm just saying, sometimes, like the way that you were taking it is the person who's hearing impaired doesn't
want to wear the mask, and the person
no, the person who's hearing impaired wants to date someone who won't wear a mask. But what if the person who's hearing impaired needs the other person to wear a mask because they're high risk and they can't take the vaccine, or they don't want it to, or whatever? So it's challenging.
As if there weren't enough challenges with dating. We thought dating was rough enough. No, there's more for you. All right. So Sarah, We're going to keep going with some some
I got
questions.
one more question, and then I think we'll wrap this up. So I know we talked about if someone's like on an extreme, then this is something you bring up super early, but
Yeah.
what if they're not? When should one ask about the vaccination? Should one ask the shadchan? Should they have a Rav or mentor or whoever's managing their dating call references? Do you just ask directly after a date or two? Is there a best practice for this?
No, this is kind of new, so there's no real etiquette. I mean, I'm designing, the etiquette, which is why we're having this webinar tonight around this. So if you're somebody who's on either end of the spectrum, you need to say something earlier because we need to match you with somebody that's like-minded. If you're more flexible about it or you just have less preferences, you don't have to bring it up as early. But it used to be with dating and matchmakers, shadchanim, and all of that, that people would ask about shomer negia, about touching or not touching in dating and where they hold with that. But now we ask about mask wearing, right? It's a whole lot like shomer negia. It's like, forget about that. Are you're gonna have a mask or not have a mask? So I think it's kind of become commonplace and pretty normal. So maybe just start to talk about it. Like, I'm comfortable with this, or I'm comfortable either way, or this is what's going to work for me. And then you can just explain it to people. I think you just have to start talking about it.
Awesome. All right. I think
Okay,
that's
great.
a wrap.
Okay, so we are going to tell you about our amazing team. Thank you, by the way, for coming to our first live webinar from Israel.
Can I just say one more question? One more question that just came in. So Aleeza, just to clarify, are you recommending that people don't start dating someone in another country, or only if we feel they're worth quarantining for every however often?
Yeah, if they're worth quarantining for and you're able to travel, then yeah, you could totally date somebody in another country, but don't start dating somebody and you can't travel and they can't travel, either because you're not willing or they're not willing, or because the country itself is a closed country and you can't get in or out. So don't go looking for trouble, my friend. Go find a country that's open. If you really have a connection and there's something going on, again, you can always put it on pause if the countries aren't in a good position to let you in or out. And if you leave your country, just plan on potentially not coming back. Pack some extra undergarments. just a mom tip,
Just in case.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming. I want to tell you for a moment, thank you again to our sponsors, JIC and Fast Pass to Love. You should check them out online, jicny.com or fastpasstolove.com or marriagemindedmentor.com. Check us all out. See all the things that we're doing. We collaborate because we are stronger when we come together. And we believe that we can help more people to find love and to manifest it and bring it to the reality so that you don't get to see my face every week anymore. You get to see your partner's face. Wouldn't that be much better? So much sweeter. So if you need anything, if you need any relationship coaching, any sort of support through the dating relationship process, if you have more questions and you're like, I got to talk this out with somebody who knows what they're talking about, we have a whole team of coaches that are available. And no matter what age or stage you're at, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s plus, we are here to help you. And we have a whole team of coaches that we just take time. We work with you one at a time through the process. And our main goal is to help you over your hurdles and under the chuppah. Sometimes you're dating, we help you through the specific relationship things. Sometimes you're not dating and you want to be dating. You're like, I don't know how to get it started. Or you want to find somebody and I don't know where to find somebody. Or you want to revamp your profile or whatever you want to do. We don't care. We eat, breathe, and sleep matchmaking. And our spouses are like, okay, that's their thing. They love it. It makes them happy. And it does. It makes us so happy because we just want you to be in a wonderful, healthy relationship like we are and to feel what we feel in a positive way towards having a wonderful partner. So if you need anything, you can find us at marriagemindedmentor.com. You can sign up and get a free 15-minute intro call. Pick one coach, like read the little bios, pick one coach that you're interested to schmooze with. And if you're like, I don't know who to schmooze with, Aleeza, tell me who I should work with. Call me I mean, sign up for an appointment, and I'll tell you who would be a great fit for you depending on what your needs are and, you know, what we all offer. And can we tell them something's coming up, Sarah? Can we tell you? Can we tell you? You guys are the first people we're telling. We didn't announce it online yet. So we are running. Can I just go all into it? Sarah's laughing. Do you have the tagline? I don't have the tagline. Okay, I'm gonna. You are totally on mute. You can talk out loud as much as you want. Nobody can hear you. But wait, I'm gonna tell you what it is first. Hold on. Wait. Okay. We are doing Bashert boot camp. That is right. We are gonna whip you into shape in 4 weeks so that you are totally ready for your Bashert. Sarah, you got the tagline there?
I do. 4 weeks to developing healthy love with the soulmate you haven't met yet.
That's right. And you're like, healthy love? I didn't even meet my partner. Like, what? How are you going to do that? That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that you are in a position to give and to receive healthy love, and that you will attract healthy love so that you're going to have an amazing partner. And we're going to whip you into shape in 4 weeks. So you are going to get something that we've never done before. We've done a lot of things before, but we've never done this. It is going to be a private group coaching. Private, when I say private, meaning not a webinar like this. You can only get in if you sign up. It's a private group coaching, and there are going to be, we decided, a maximum of 12 in the group, and we're going to do a men's group and we're going to do a women's group. That's right. So ladies, you can ask all your questions without the men there, and men, you can ask all your questions without the ladies there. And we're going to really dig into things. And in addition to the weekly classes that we're going to do, we're going to also like put people in the hot seat where we can go back and forth with different topics. We can hash it out. You're going to see things in real time. We've never done this before. But in addition to that, you're also going to get your own accountability coach. So like boot camp, right? What do you need? You need the sergeant that gives you a little kick in the pants. It's like, no, you said you want to do this, but you're not doing this time, 20 more crunches. But we're not going to make you do any crunches. We're just going to make you do worksheets and other activities and things in order to get you in the position to give and receive healthy love, right? Because love is love. Healthy love, something nobody even really talks about. Everybody talks about love, the mystical, magical, fall in love with my soulmate. How about healthy love to last a lifetime? Who's in? So stay tuned, because we're going to send you more information about that soon. This is just like our little promo and our first announcement. And that's it. Anything else? We're good? Okay.
I think so.
All right. And next week, it's going to be the same time, the same place, 3 weeks in a row. We are doing 3 webinars before the holiday of Shavuot. And so you're just going to tune back in if you want. And if you can't make it live, the replay to the people who sign up. So if you want the replay sent to your inbox, sign up. Okay?
See you guys
next
second.
week.
Wait. I just want to say we just got a comment that came in that said, I took a different program about positive master your marriage mindset, and it worked. So just putting it out there. When will you know about
this is different. This is not mastering your marriage mindset.
Right. No, it's totally different, but the programs do work. When will you know about coaching? You will get an email about it on May 2nd. So that's next Sunday. But if you're like, I already want the information, I'm in, you could send an email to coach@marriagemindedmentor.com, and we will send you a direct sign up link. Just give me like an hour so I can, make it go live. And then lastly, Aleeza, do we want to tell them what next week's topic is about? The webinar?
We can. Do you have it? Yeah, go for it.
Skeletons in the closet.
Oh yeah, all those things that like you don't talk about with people and then you got to talk about with them.
So we're going to talk about the what, when, and why of sharing the things you don't know how to share with your date.
Yeah, all good. Awesome.
All right.
I'm going to have a good evening. Have a good day. Have a good everything, everybody. And we'll see you next week, unless you go and get yourself engaged, in which case send us an email because we want to know.
All right.
Have a good day. Bye.